The deplorable Chris C. listened to our 100th episode last week and said, myself and Kevin don't see eye to eye on politics, but I do respect the hell out of him. Sean would have been best as a commentator in wrestling. Could have seen him working an angle with Jerry Lawler.
Nice.
I would not have done it.
And I don't understand what people don't like. Paul Levesque is one of my dearest, closest friends, and I'm sure if you look on his Instagram, there's a picture of him and Stephanie standing right next to Trump in the Oval Office.
Or are you just...
I've seen the pictures. I don't know if it's on his Instagram, but I know that Linda was in Trump's cabinet. So it's like, and I don't...
There you go.
I don't have a problem with that. Those are my friends. Most of them are like family to me. So that's the thing that gets me. You hate Trump. I don't hate him. I just don't want him in charge of fucking my country.
Mm-hmm. Why do they? I know why certain... certain people do. Glenn Jacobs is politically motivated with he has proclaimed, I don't know if you saw this, that despite the indictments...
Yeah, but what is he going to do now?
Well, because that's what I said. It's politically motivated, so he's got to stay on the course.
Yeah, he's already... Once you're on the... Me and T used to laugh all the time when we'd be driving someplace and we'd hear Ozzy Osbourne, mm-hmm. and he was going off the rails on a crazy train. So you're on a crazy train, but you're so fucking, it's so wild on this train, you're going off the rails. So when you're at that point in your life, when you're going off the rails on the crazy train, you're off the rails. There's just nothing Glenn can do but just stand there and make sure he's got a red tie on. And if he loses, I mean, he positions himself with probably 33 to 39% of the country right now. Mm-hmm. And the GOP will come back. It will come back. A lot of people thought that we'd never recover from the Democrats would never recover from Carter.
I think the Republicans have to find their soul. They have to go back to the messaging that I remembered when I was in college, and this would have been early 90s. It looked like Clinton's presidency. Bush won, was the last Republican president before Clinton. People joked about the party of family values, if you remember, but they at least had a galvanizing message. And I just think so much now, and I blame Trump entirely for ruining their party's message. We talked before about how
could you imagine
Constitution, literal interpretation of the Constitution?
Yeah, could you imagine if McCain was still around? Like if McCain was an option?
That would have been, he would have knocked it out of the park. They don't have.
I'll never forget
that could fill that role.
There's nobody in that party right now. But I can't say that because if you were this person, you would be ostracized. So you can't. It's
you can't
almost
be that
like
person.
You're right. So yeah. So if you are McCain
or
and
Mitt
a person
Romney.
says and a person says, no, Obama's a terrorist. He says, no, ma'am. He's not a terrorist. He's a very fine man. We don't agree on everything. Like to have somebody with that kind of fortitude, with that kind
class.
Yeah, but just, and it's like and then what do? Is they give him Palin. They give him Palin.
I know.
Which was, I'm glad because we got Obama. Coming out of that. This is one thing that I don't think that people realize from an economy standpoint. And this is all the people right now that we're not in a recession. I don't care. We've already went over the numbers, but you have they're going, yeah, but things were so much less expensive when Trump was in office. Well, we had two options when COVID hit. We either went into a recession, probably a depression, or we had to fucking throw a shitload of paper on top of that, which caused the inflation. So we had to, it's like what's the lesser of two evils?
Yeah.
An inflation that skyrockets, or right now still trying to dig out of a depression. And I they made the right decision. And we just have to live with it. But we also have to be able to look at it and realize it for what it is.
You have to keep it in context, 100%.
Yeah, and it's just like it. I think that history will be very kind to Biden from what he's done from an infrastructural standpoint. I mean, every time I drive someplace and I slow down because I'm thinking, God, this railroad track I'll bottom out on it. And all of a sudden it's like there's new pavement on it. I'm like, what? I mean, that's not the fact that you drive through any major city and there's 13 cranes, because that's a sign of recession.
Or construction workers you may know.
Yeah, construction workers I know that haven't been in the gym since November because we're in a recession and they're working two jobs. One's they can't keep up with the commercial real estate, let alone the duplexes they're building. So, I don't know.
Well, I to touch on what you said about COVID, you do have to, and I, obviously not a Trump fan myself, you do have to, there's got to be a curve in there because of what happened, right? So
Yeah.
people always go to the numbers, and you look at any graph, you have to find that dip. There's always that da-da-da-da-da, and then bang, and then the gradual back up. You got to take that section out of the equation.
Well, that's what they've done. That they've taken that year out of Trump's presidency, and they've showed the numbers.
But what I'm saying, people talk about. You could talk about coming out of COVID, but anything that went on in that time period, like the lows we hit in numbers, it's not accurate data. So,
well,
I'm saying people talk about. You could talk about coming out of COVID, but anything that went on in that time period, like the lows we hit in numbers, it's not accurate data. So,
well,